I said this before, but the reason that you live life, in my opinion, is for other people. Which sounds f***ed up to say, but without other people, I think life is pointless.
Something we keep a close eye on here is the crisis of young men in the U.S. It's probably one of the most charged topics that we discuss, inevitably draws quite a bit of few toxic people in the discourse on all sides. But my biggest problem with the state of mainstream discourse is conflating toxicity with the idea that we don't have a serious problem. A stunning trove of new data from the Pew Research Group highlights just how big of a problem we have, one that soon could reach a total point of no return. The first is the rate of single young men versus single young women. 63% of young men today between the ages of 18 to 29 report being single. That is compared to 34% of young women.
Okay, I just want to stop it right there because I remember when I first read this stat, I started laughing, and then I was talking with a homegirl, and she's like, "How's that possible?" And I was like, "It's easy because young women are dating older dudes." You know, despite all this talk about like, oh my God, it's so disgusting when older men go after young women. Did you not know that younger women actually like going after older men? And it's not even crazy. It's not even a weird thing. It makes perfect sense why. The reason why younger women go after older men is for comfort, security. That's it. You know, we talk about how crazy everything is economically speaking. Rent's increasing, everything's more pricey, yet people still want to live a good quality of life. And guess what? Your average 22-year-old in college is not going to be able to give it to you. Yeah, he might have more in common with you to some degree, but the 32-year-old who got his own home, who's paying off his mortgage, got a full-time job, can take you on trips a couple times a year, and is much more comfortable in his being because he's had more experience, is going to be way more attractive than a 22-year-old who's just trying to figure it out. I can tell you this, dating at 32 is the easiest thing ever in my life now. Dating at 22 was a fucking struggle. Do you know how hard it is to try to invite a girl back to your mom's place or your rundown little apartment when I had one? Not the easiest. Not the easiest. I sure as hell wasn't confident. What did I have to be confident about? Got very little money, got only a half decent job, and I'm still figuring out who the fuck I am. So of course, these women are gonna go for older men. So that's why I always laugh and be like, ew, so disgusting. Why would these older guys ever want to be with these younger women? Because these younger women are aggressively going after these older guys. And as a man, when you're being desired by a woman, it's actually pretty appealing. It feels good. I personally have a hard time with it because culturally, sometimes I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect in terms of life goals. What do you think about this stat and this number?
I agree. It's like, ew. Have you been out?
Yeah.
Do you get out of your house? Do you go online? Under what rock do you live? I don't see what you don't see. I don't get it. Like, do you even go out? Do you hear people talk? Do you see people at concerts? The people that buy concert tickets is women. The people that scream at concerts, women. People that try to go backstage for men performers or women performers, women.
Women are big time consumers. They like to live and experience things, and that shit costs money.
If you talk about your typical groupie, it's not a man, it's a woman. Talk about comedy. All my female comedian colleagues do not have the same relationship with women that we do, men comedians. Motherfuckers trying to find out where we stay at when we gonna perform next in they city. Not the women's, not so much. But it's always women. Oftentimes women's. Hey, there's some men here and there. The majority?
Yeah.
And no matter what performer, that's the thing. For comedy, it's what I noticed. But then if you talk about music, the groupies, the term groupie is female to me.
Most of the time.
Most of the time it is. Or very feminine.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think this has like a much larger effect because one of the other stats in the Pew Research said something like, I think it's like 52% are not even interested in trying or care to try. And when you look at some of the reasons why, they feel like it's too expensive. They feel like they're not good matches. They feel like society's not good for them, whatever. When you look at the MGTOW movement, I remember when I was talking about this maybe 7 years ago, everyone thought it was a fucking meme. And come to today, now it's becoming more and more where, in fact, for young men, it's the majority. Majority of them. Not that they've subscribed to MGTOW or going their way, but like they've just checked out of dating. And it's happening more and more. Men have checked out of college, men have checked out of dating, and what ends up happening is right now it doesn't seem like such a big problem, but there are only so many older men, and a lot of these older men are married to women their own age, and so for the younger women who want to get with these guys, they're not always going to be available. So you're going to have a sexless generation at some point, or a large chunk of it being without companionship, without any kind of intimate relationship. And I'm sorry, but anybody who's been able to benefit from the upsides of being in a relationship, the proximity to being someone, to being touched by someone you love, to have people you can actually share that stuff with every day in a close relationship, you understand its benefits tremendously. If you go through life, your entire life without it, you're missing out on one of the biggest parts of the human experience. I don't care what nobody fucking says about, oh my God, being single is so much less stress. Yeah, it's also less happiness. I'm not talking about staying some kind of fucking shitty abuse. I'm not talking about those garbage relationships. Preach, you could speak to this. The idea of being single in comparison to where you at.
I don't look too promising. Just this world is not made to be single. The world, the way it's made, is not. If you live in a big city, or even a city at all,
go for it.
Everything is going to be like everything. All the price of everything is much more expensive. So 2 income is better than 1. I was never good at math, but this math I understand. 2 income is better than 1. At the end of the day, it is what it is. And with the chores and everything that you have to do around the house or stuff like that, it's better to be 2. It's better to be 2. It takes 2 to tango. And yeah. The everything is constructed the way the banks are working. If you want to adopt a child, alone is going to be a big mess. It's going to be rough, tiring, exhausting. 2, way better. Yeah, definitely. When you grow up and you look at your parents and you think it's your parents and you're like, pfft, sometimes you're like, y'all motherfuckers should split. Y'all motherfuckers don't love each other. And I'm not necessarily talking about my parents, but I've seen that happen in a lot of families. Y'all motherfuckers don't love each other. And then you wonder why. Why they stay together? How couldn't that? I understand now. Oh, now that I'm an adult, I get it now. When you get the bills and you got the kids and you're like, I could split. But let me stick on together because I'd rather stay together and be here and not be as happy. It's better be with someone and not happy than be with someone with nobody and be miserable.
Really?
No, not really. But that's how they think, and I understand why they would think like that.
Okay.
Just because of the weight of the bills and the weight of and the burden of life. I don't agree. I want my peace of mind, but the bills is a lot.
Listen, I think it's bad to have this conversation and always think, well, it's better than having a bad relationship. Sure, but it's not better than having a good relationship.
Let's say
you know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't always argue by the worst standard possible. And I think that's what a lot of people do in this because they've had some bad relationships. And maybe there's things about yourself that you need to fix. Maybe your selection process is trash. I refuse to believe that most of the people out there are bad people. I refuse to believe that most of the people out there were not in some ways good for you. Listen, if you're constantly having bad relationships, at some point you got to look at yourself and be like, maybe I'm the reason this is all fucking up. Right. And if you want to give up, you give up. But you have to understand, for society as a whole, when so many people are checking out, not because they've tried and failed, but because they can't have a chance, or they feel like they're not good enough, or they feel priced out, which is what a lot of people say. Like, if you don't have a college degree, these women are not checking for you. They want to be with dudes who are college educated a lot of the times. This is not me sitting here saying, women, your standards are fucked up for wanting to be with a college student. It's not even that, because I could understand why. Maybe college helps you to understand, like, he's got the same values. He's going to be career-oriented. He's been able to make good investments, whatever. If that you want to make that, it's not an unreasonable criteria. My point is, I think it's a dark place we're heading towards. That's what I'm getting at. And I question what this is going to look like 20 or 30 years from now. You know, during the pandemic, we had so many people who just went on Twitch every day and spent all their days gaming and doing all this other stuff, and that's kind of carried over. And there's people who get no social interaction. I want y'all to think about what that's going to do to the psyche of people 20, 15 years from now when they're that detached from human connection. That's what I worry about.
There's a big ass company that's going to take advantage of that, and that's going to create some AI, and the loop is going to be deadly.
All right, man. It's going to be some wild times up ahead. But I just wanted to talk about this just because I think when you see depression, when you see self-deletions rising specifically in males more than any other group possible, right? Men are self-deleting at insane rates. this is a big portion why. Whether we like to believe or not, some people might find it sad. Having a family, having a partner, those are actually very valid reasons to live on life. I said this before, but the reason that you live life, in my opinion, is for other people. Which sounds f***ed up to say, but without other people, I think life is pointless. Without my family, without my loved ones, without the people close to me, I have literally no reason to be on this planet. None. Nothing on this planet is fun or worth it enough, the suffering that's involved, if I don't have the people around me that actually bring me joy, that make every day waking up much more easy and enjoyable. Without them, this is all pointless. To what? Make money? To do what? Like there's no amount of financial experiences that are going to matter if I don't have people to share it with, right? If I don't have loved ones I can really experience that with. And as great as friends are, friends go on with their lives, generally speaking. So when I look at people and they say, well, relationships, they actually are. Now, women, to their credit, seem to be much better at adapting to the single life than men. There's a difference. Men suffer from it more. Women suffer, but not nearly as much as men. And so, good for ladies. I'm speaking specifically to the dudes. The way the economic situation is shaped, it's no surprise that women want to go for older men. Like, women are also struggling to some degree financially. So they're like, yo, why would I stay at another dude who makes 30 to 40K just like me when I got a guy who's older, more established, got a better place, better car, and better looking? This is not condemning ladies or condemning men. It's just like, this is fucked up. And I felt this was coming a long time ago. And now that it's here and it seems going to get it worse, I wonder where it's all going to go.
I feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better.
I agree 150%.